Welcome to the Lancaster County Democrats Watchful Citizens Show. My name is Barbara Baier, and today our guest is Danielle Conrad, and she is our state senator for legislative district number 46. And right now, you're running for re-election for your second term. Tell us what your first term has been like, Danielle.
Thank you, Barb. Thank you, number one, to you for the generous invitation and to the county party for hosting this fantastic public forum for people to learn about issues of the day, and to your viewers and listeners to this program who are trying to become engaged and informed citizens. It's such an important part of our democratic process. To the first question, yes, the experience from my first term was it's hard to describe in simple terms, but it was probably one of the most rewarding and exhausting experiences I've ever had in my life, and exhausting not in any sort of negative connotation, but there's not a day that goes by in the last 4 years that I haven't conducted some sort of business associated with my legislative office. So it is all-consuming. You know that yourself as a public official, but that's also part of the wondrous beauty of the position. And I've had the opportunity to meet so many people I would have never met otherwise, and they really change and enhance your life in ways that you never thought possible. And I've learned so much about so many different and unique, complex issues in terms of the public policies that are facing our state and deserve additional attention that, again, were never before on my radar screen. And that's really been tremendously fulfilling. And along the way, I've had a lot of successes in delivering positive change for the working families of North Lincoln, and that's why I ran for office in the first place, and I'm proud to stand on that record as I'm now up for re-election.
Well, you know, I was reading, and I'm very impressed with what you did this year. You sponsored 6 bills,
That's right.
And you had 5 get passed?
That's right.
Oh,
yes.
Tell us about them.
It was a very productive year for my personal legislative agenda, and actually each year that I've been in the legislature, the majority of bills that I've introduced have ultimately become law. And so I'm very proud of that work, not only just in terms of, you know, my batting average as a state senator, but because, again, it has real positive impacts on Nebraskans' lives. Some of the issues that I focused on this year really were a wide variety and a broad range of things, starting with changes to the workers' compensation system to make it work more efficiently, a bill that I brought forward to help senior citizens protect their family home if they're going through bankruptcy because of difficult economic conditions.
That sounds really good. And so you're thinking about how average families are being impacted by this really not so good economy.
Yes, absolutely. And actually this is a great bill to visit about, because it was brought to me by, the idea was brought to me by 2 third-year law students at the University of Nebraska College of Law who were helping an elderly client prepare for a potential bankruptcy case because she had incurred a significant amount of medical debt, like so many individuals and families do with the spiraling healthcare costs. And in preparing her case for bankruptcy, they noticed an inconsistency or problem with Nebraska law that excluded unmarried seniors from the same protection that married seniors had in terms of protecting the equity in their family home. So they came to me with the issue, and we started researching whether or not that was an inadvertent kind of drafting error, or if there was in fact a policy decision behind that framework. And it seemed to come to fruition at the completion of that public hearing process and the research that we conducted that it probably was more of a drafting error rather than a policy choice. But nonetheless, by making that simple change in Nebraska law, AARP, Legal Aid and Services, and others who work with this population estimate that it could literally help hundreds of seniors each year secure that protection.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah. Well, tell us about some of your other bills this year.
Sure. Another bill that your listeners may know about that received some media attention and that I'm very proud of my work on was a bill to allow low-income and other vulnerable populations to utilize their food stamp benefits at local farmers markets.
Oh, that's good.
It's a really exciting piece to work on because it's one of those classic win-win-win kind of policies with really no particular downside. In doing research over the interim last year, I wanted to do something on food and nutrition policy. And so I started looking at the innovations that other states had looked at to improve and expand their anti-hunger programs. And it became clear to me that about 35 other states had adopted some sort of program opening up access at local farmers markets and cooperatives for food stamp benefits to be accepted. And Nebraska, unfortunately, had not really taken any steps to move down that path. So working with folks from diverse as the Lincoln Food Bank to the Nebraska Farm Bureau, we were able to put together a bill and had a great public hearing about how we can put the hardware and software resources necessary to accept those food stamp benefits into the hands of local ag producers. And we're doing it through a competitive grant process with some existing funds that the state already had available and unallocated. So not only does it help low income and seniors who rely on food stamp benefits have access to healthy, locally grown food, but it also expands the market for local ag producers who are at the farmers market. And so it really is one of those win-win bills for everyone, and it was great to see that go through.
Well, that's good. You know, you brought up something when you were describing that bill that really interests me, and part of it is how our legislature functions, and part of it is the character of many of our representatives, such as yourself. And that is tell us about the nonpartisan environment that unicameral
Sure.
creates.
Well, this is one of my favorite questions whenever I'm engaged in public dialogue about our work, and I don't think that we can tell the story enough in Nebraska about how proud Nebraskans should be of their Nebraska unicameral legislature. Not just because I'm a member of it and not just because I'm a Nebraskan and biased to the uniqueness of our system, but you know, after 4 years in talking with colleagues in other states, you know, it's striking to me that they sometimes don't even visit or socialize across party lines. And we in the Nebraska legislature do in fact run and serve in a nonpartisan manner. And we act as 49 independent contractors on each and every bill that comes before us. We don't have partisan caucuses, we don't have issue caucuses, but instead are really independent contractors. And we frequently work across party lines, philosophical lines, geographical, professional diversity that exists within the body to find common ground on any given issue. And some of the senators with the most divergent political philosophy than my own have become some of the people that I respect and admire more so than even others. And it's definitely a beautiful system that serves our citizenry so well and allows us to put aside partisan bickering and just focus on policy and focus on where the middle ground is. And that middle ground shifts on every bill. But it really, really is a great system. And as much as you can remove politics from a political body full of political animals, the legislature has proudly been able to do so, I think, to the greatest extent possible, and is truly a model for efficient, accountable, accessible government. And that's something we should be really proud of.
Too bad the rest of the country doesn't go and look at.
That's right.